Okay. Alright, so this is JWAK, or also known as Jappy's Wild Adventure Kingdom. Received a 77.50 gold accolade. I gave this park a 80, which is 2.5% above the final score. Actually, none of the 10 votes on this were either an 80 or a 75. The low vote was Liam with a 70, and he was the only one to give it a 70. And the only one not to give it a 75 or 80%. So pretty consistent voting, which is kind of... I'm not surprised by this, where this park was. By the way, this park was voted on. Not surprising to me. So, obviously it's sort of a zoo park, as well as having rides, which I guess in some ways really helped it, but in other ways it hurt it. I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit as we go. But I mean, the entrance was good. I can't say I was the biggest fan of the architecture. I mean, it's serviceable. I think that's the best way to talk about the architecture in this park, is that everything's serviceable and fits in. There are some buildings that are obviously better than others. Like this building is kind of not that great, but for the most part, I think he did a good job with the architecture, keeping consistent, and he also did improve his flat roof texture usage, so that was nice. So yeah, the first area, I guess, is sort of like the African area with your elephants and giraffe and tigers, or whatever these things are, monkeys, zebras and buffalo and tigers, or lions, yeah, lions, tigers. I don't know if there's any tigers in this. Lions, yeah. Yeah, this is probably one of the better parts of the park, in my opinion, just because it feels very zoo-like, and I think he balanced the zoo and rides very well. The invert, the way he kind of sort of integrated into the path and the theming is really, really good. I like how, all the gift shops and interaction there is. That's one of the highlights of the park for sure. Definitely Black Mamba inspired from Fantasyland, but overall, I'd be pretty solid. My problem with this is that there's basically no second half, so it kind of comes around and goes through the barrel roll and then the corkscrew, and then it goes to this dive loop, and then you expect it to have some other element, like maybe a turnaround over here or another inversion somewhere, but it kind of just goes and does a turn under the ground into the bricks, which I was really not a fan of. I really wish he would have done a little bit more with the layout, instead of just kind of ending it when he didn't really have space to put any other stuff. But the architecture and the shops are really, really nice. I mean, all this stuff is great. So Topspin is pretty well done. It's again inspired Fantasyland. So definitely say I was a fan of this area, and the rapids are pretty well done. A little bit flat, but I don't really think it's a problem. A lot of rapids sometimes are kind of flat, so, and there's actually rapids in them, so I guess you can't really complain. I think he actually did a good job with the station area in the queue as well. A lot of people kind of had a problem with the foliage, but I can't say I did it all, so And he has like the backstage stuff that you need and all that. He did a good job of balancing, having backstage stuff, but having enough of it to where it feels like he actually cared and didn't just put it down to put it down, and not too much to where it might be distracting for some people who don't really like that kind of stuff. And in the park. So I guess this boat is throwback to one of his past parks as well, which had a ship dining area. So obviously animal exhibit there, some rides and stuff. Overall, I think this is one of the better areas. I like how he lowered this, to give because a lot of times giraffe exhibits their ground's lowered, so you can kind of be at eye level with them. So yeah, he has all the the housing, the indoor housing areas too for the animals. So didn't just put exhibits down and not really care what he was doing. Next area is the Australian area, which has the Mountain, which is probably my favorite coaster in the park. And there's only 3, so I guess that isn't that saying much, but I really like the layout. The theming, the placement was pretty fantastic. How it's like on the water and you can kind of see it from this whole area. And how it kind of goes up just in reverse sections. That's really cool. The theming here, kind of Australian, which I guess because I'm not that familiar with Australia or Australian themes, so I can't really say much as to actually the theming, but I thought it was nice. I guess some of the buildings here are a little bit awkward because they're so tall and kind of dull in facade, and they kind of, I don't know, he did a good job making them fit in, but I don't know, in a way, I think he could have done more with the architecture, as I said a couple times in the entire park, but yeah. This sign doesn't really make any sense because usually, I'm assuming that this sign is for this area, because it's, Australian theme. It's weird how the sign, you can only be seeing it from inside the area instead of coming into the area. That kind of doesn't really make sense to me. So but yeah, atmospheric, so nice work. And he does this all the time. There's so many playgrounds in this park. I think there's like 3 of them, and there's this one, and there's kind of like a ropes course here. I think there might be one other one. I can't remember. Maybe we'll find it later, but I don't know. I've never been to a park with a playground, so maybe that's just me, or a zoo with a playground. I can't remember if the zoo near me has one. So that's kind of weird. I've seen them in other parks on any, so I guess it's not a completely out of place, but yeah, awesome theming and stuff. Really like this ride. And then kind of here we kind of have like one of these, probably the smallest area in the park, which I guess is like the Arctic area, sort of the cold weather animals. Which I actually really liked how he handled this. Kind of has the natural barrier with the land here and the terrain and stuff, so it doesn't really feel out of place or like it's imposing on the rest of the park. I think he handled it pretty well too. The exhibits and stuff, the penguins. That's kind of pretty clever the way he did the penguins, and I guess these are seals or something. So nice job here. I think backstage and making it feel natural and not forced. Definitely could see a real zoo park having something like this. Continuing through the Australian area, Boomerang Classic, Australian area name. You did a good job with this too. Got the plane here. This fits into the Australian feel as well. And I'm assuming this abandoned station right here is for the kiddie ride, kiddie coaster. That's what I was assuming. So have an abandoned ride. That's a cool addition. You know, definitely feels like it is abandoned, and you know they're kind of trying to hide it with this tall fence here. So a nice little touch there. This building, not its best, but and the colors here are a little bit odd, but I think it works for what it is. Continuing on, I actually like this building a lot more. This one as well. Some marked animal exhibits, nicely done. Not really sure what animal exhibit this would be. Oh, kangaroo, obviously. Guess they're cleaning in the animals that are inside, so that's a pretty cool touch there. This time makes much more sense because you're coming up here and you see the sign and you see, okay, this is what this area is. I suppose over here where you're leaving, it doesn't make any sense, but. One thing I guess as well is that he has so many train crossings, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this one area, which is a lot. I mean, I don't know, I guess every park is different, but in a way I kind of feel like the train here was forced in a way. I don't really feel like this is a sort of the park that it's kind of more like a Disney park where it kind of is planned out and built. It doesn't really, expand from a little tiny, midway of rides into this giant theme park. You kind of plan out from the start, and I feel like a park that was planned out from the start like this would have more logical train placement and it wouldn't be so awkward, but would have less crossings, and there's some other problems, especially I think this is right here and stuff. But anyways, yeah, so the next area is sort of the American Western Frontier area. I think this is probably the best area in the park, to be honest, in terms of the architecture and just sort of the overall atmosphere. He did a really good job. This log film theming is pretty good. Even if this log film, it doesn't really feel that realistic to me, I guess, compared to some of the other custom layouts in this park. So I'm not really sure how to feel about that, but the theming is good, so I don't really think the odd layout is much of a problem here. I guess weird thing is how he has the queue going over the splash. I guess it's a log flume, so the splash won't be that big, but usually you'd have the exit going over so that people from the midway can walk over and get splashed instead of forcing people in the queue to get splashed. But anyways. No, tons of nice little buildings and touches here, which really, theming and stuff, which really add to it. In the train station and this park, both of them are, nice and open air and really feel, theme park like, and don't feel like just like massive buildings that have trains stopping in them, like sometimes they do. But yeah, this is probably my favorite stretch of buildings in the entire park. Did a really nice job with the facades and colors and the detailing, and I like, especially compared to his last park, Piano Park, he doesn't have just the awful default roof textures. He does the path textures, which I really like. So, and obviously this rodeo station is pretty well done too. I really like this, and sort of the detail he has in here. The one thing that would have been nice if we would have added like the sitting peep object to fill it up a little bit, and you know, a lot of peeps to walk. I guess there probably is path. No, there isn't path. But a lot of people still walk in here. That'd have been nice. Yeah, I'm actually not a big fan of this playground just because it's so tall. Like, it's almost as tall as like any of the coasters. Like, I don't feel like a playground would be this large. I mean, this slide's like massive, and it's like 40 feet. Well, 25, but I mean that's huge for a slide. So, and the other rides here are pretty solid, but other things here are pretty solid. But maybe you could have filled this thing with, you know, a different building or something, but I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of that. Just didn't scale well with the rest of the park. Rock climbing, a nice addition. Definitely fits in the American area. I guess this is the petting zoo, which is a solid addition as well that I liked. Definitely something that a park like this would have. Animals. I'm not really sure what these animals are. Hyena. I don't know if hyenas are American, but anyways, that doesn't really matter. They can be whatever. Coyotes. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, and backstage was really well planned here. Sort of have, instead of having, you know, awkward backstage, just nicking through it and stuff. Feels very natural. So that was really good. Some nice planning there. I think overall this park was planned pretty well. I had my problems with the Japanese area, but we'll get to that. But yeah, and this, you know, good sign placement as well. Western Frontier. I don't know if there's any sign over here, which I guess, you know, not a huge problem, but maybe I would have liked to see that. I mean, yeah, there's one right. That this is. Can't stand this. That sign should have been right there. That's where the sign should have been, so you could have seen it when you're walking in instead of when you're leaving. I mean, that's just me, but. So the next area is the Indian area, I guess. Sort of less ride heavy, and, you know, kind of the only main thing is the elephants. The Asian elephant exhibit compared to the African elephants over here. What is the actual object different? African elephant. Oh no, it's not. Well, the Asian elephants have tiny ears, but anyways, pretty cool. I like the architecture and the theming here. Monkeys, well done, I think. A solid choice. Got some more gardens and stuff. I mean, I really like this. This area is sort of like a transition area, I think. It's pretty well done, I think. Maybe the colors of the path was a little bit too bright, but could have been worse. I maybe would have preferred this sort of gray, crazy path instead of the tan path. I'm not really sure what this building is. It's kind of always didn't really make sense to me, but then you got the indoor exhibit as well with the boat ride and sort of some of the more smaller animals. I don't know if this starts. I guess this technically doesn't start in here, but anyways, Moving on to the next area, sort of more, I guess, Asian area as well. At the tiger exhibit, which is probably this. I think they really built it up, or he really built it up and made it, you know, very, you know, special, which I think is a really solid, solid design choice. This is probably my least favorite of the coasters. I mean, I think it did a good job, but this, you know, sort of Indiana Jones style mine train sort of ride has been done a lot better in the past, so I don't know. It just didn't really do much for me. It didn't really feel like much of an improvement over the past attempt of this ride at all, so I don't know. I kind of would have. I mean, he is a good choice for the space he had. I mean, I guess he could have expanded the park out more, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of this, especially, you know, he doesn't. I don't know. The architecture is just kind of a bit blocky and stuff, but then he has a railway museum, which I guess doesn't make any sense in a park like this, but I guess some parks have it, so I guess that's okay. Kind of didn't really feel like a needed addition. I see. I guess it's pretty hard to do in RCT, so maybe it wasn't so high up the ground. I guess, I don't know. But yeah, this is sort of the more generic area too. This stuff right here, which I liked how we had sort of like, you know, a more basic sort of just jungle theme. I think that was a cool choice. So architecture here is pretty good too, I think. Does feel a little bit derivative of BGA, but that's nothing new, so can't blame him for that. As well as like the little animal exhibits here with the netted in areas, and then we come to the Japanese area, which to me, I don't know, it still feels sort of like there's not really any rides here. I mean, you have these two flats, but you know, okay. And then you have this one animal exhibit, and our two animal exhibits, and then, you know, some nice architecture and some gardens and stuff, but it's kind of placed like, you know, when you're naturally viewing this park, you kind of go around here and around the outside, and then you kind of come back to the entrance. You don't really, like, this is such like a diversion, I feel. It just kind of doesn't really, like, it doesn't feel like you have to go to this section of the park, or it doesn't feel like you're pushed to go here. There's no reason to walk over here. I mean, the architecture is nice and it's well made, but I don't know. I kind of feel like the path layout in this area really hurt it. Maybe it's just because it's an island, I don't know, but I mean, you kind of have to walk all the way back around just to get to the exit, when I feel like you could have done some, you know, connected it better to the midway area and kind of made it feel more of a part of the park. I mean, it's well made, but kind of the one blunder of the planning in this, I think, is this island area. An aquarium inside the building. Which one? This one? Wow. Interesting. I never would have noticed that as an aquarium. guess you have the fish here, but don't really know if I would have noticed that being a fish. Usually the aquariums are a little bit more aquatic looking, but I don't know, still a cool addition. I didn't notice that in the past. But yeah, I mean, well, they can sign like what? The only way you're gonna see this is if you're in the park in this area. The sign should be over here, so you know what the area is when you're walking to it. Not like, I don't know. Things that bug me, I guess, as well, is that he doesn't really have any fence around the water. People could just run into the water and stuff. But yeah, and he has some nice surroundings. Like, I really like how he did the parking lot with the access road here, and I think he did a really good job building this. And he has the train station area as well, which I think is nice. Maybe a little bit too colorful compared to the park, but I think he did a good job with the surroundings, I'd say. Some nice buildings and stuff. The road wasn't just plain tarmac, so yeah. But anyways, yeah, a good park. I think the highlights of this are definitely the theming and the planning, the different styles he used, the animal exhibits. I think are really well done. The coasters. I think he did a good job. Making average layouts at best look cool, but I wish there would have been something a little bit bigger in the park to be really memorable, kind of stand out, be that headline attraction. I think his architecture, while it was good, I think there definitely were some opportunities to improve it, kind of give it a harder feel to it, to kind of make it feel a bit more believable, as it was sort of inconsistent. Because this building, kind of, these buildings aren't really like that. They're good in theory, but yeah, I don't know. Could have been a little bit better. I do like, though, he has these benches are actually usable. That's a nice touch. I've been trying to do that recently, but yeah, really good park. I think an 80 is a. I was debating between 80 and 75 for a while, but I think an 80 is a good score for this.
So more macro side, the water in the park feels natural, like it makes sense. You don't just have water coming out of
spawning out of nowhere and going up hills or something like that. So it definitely feels like this pond could have been, this lake could have been here in the park's heart, and they kind of diverted the path a little bit. So yeah, overall, nice stuff. Some nice little details. Probably one of the better parks this year. I can't really remember what else we've had this year off the top of my head right now. So this might be the highest scoring park of the year. I don't remember. Anyways, so yeah, that was Jappy's Wild Adventure Kingdom.